Hello, I wanted to make a quick video regarding using Autodesk Inventor and some of the basic features, kind of a brief introduction to what Autodesk Inventor is. Autodesk Inventor is a CAD program. CAD stands for Computer Aided Design or Computer Assisted Design, and it is used to prototype and create items in a virtual environment rather than in the real world so they can be tested, which helps reduce costs and labor and time in terms of getting things ready and putting them into the marketplace. So when you first open Inventor, this is the first thing that you'll see. You'll see the splash screen, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and close that out, so we're looking at this. So this is going to be the first thing that you see when you open Inventor. Okay? So there are a couple things to remember when we're working with Inventor. The first thing is the ribbon tabs up here, the application menu, which is indicated by the big I. So if you ever hear me refer to the big I, that's the application menu. We also have the quick access toolbar right here. So this is the quick access toolbar. All of that is the quick access toolbar. This is the ribbon. Or I'm sorry, not the ribbon, the browser rather. This records all the things that you do inside Inventor. And then we have the sketch plane or the graphics window, depending on who you ask. So this is the graphics window. And so when we're making parts, there are a couple things to remember. So for example, we can go to the big I and go to New. And we are prompted to either use two kinds of templates, either English or metric. We don't need to worry about mold design at the middle school level. But so I'll select English, and I'll select standard.ipt. This extension right here, IPT, stands for Inventor Part, and inches is going to be by units of measurement. So I'll double click on standard.ipt, and this will be the first thing that opens up. So we have our graphics window. Let me expand this. We have our ribbon. So all of this area up here is called the ribbon. All of that is called the ribbon. And when Inventor opens, it opens up into what's called 3D mode. So we're not really ready to do any kind of sketches. So let's go and create a sketch and put ourselves in sketch mode. So I'm going to click on the pencil here where it says Create 2D Sketch. That's going to bring up my coordinate plane, and for our purposes we always use the XY plane. So here's the graphics window right here, here's the browser, and if you notice that the ribbon has now changed, we have our sketch panel, our create panel, our modify panel, our pattern panel, constraint panel, insert, and format panel. So let me explain a little bit about what some of these things mean. So the application menu here is used for common commands for creating, saving, and printing. We have our quick access toolbar up here at the top, so we can either create a new sketch, we can open up an existing sketch, we can also use save. I know a lot of you youngsters, you're not really familiar with what this icon means, but this icon, which has a floppy disk on it, that stands for save, and then we have undo. So here are some additional ribbon tabs. We have project geometry, our modify panel, pattern panel, and dimension panel. Dimension is nothing more than a fancy word for saying measurement. That's all that is. So this browser that's over here is used for keeping track of our parts. We also have our 3D indicator over here in the lower left-hand corner, and we can see our X, Y, and the blue would be the Z axis. So Y being height, X axis being the horizontal axis, and then the Z axis being back and forth. Here in the center you see this orange yellow dot. That is the origin. So on the X and Y axis, the X axis and where the X and Y axis meet, that is referred to the origin. So if I wanted to say create a sketch, I could start at rectangle. I'm going to click on the origin. Green means go, left click, click and drag. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a couple of dimensions here. 2, tab, 2, enter. And then I'll click the front of my home cube. That'll bring it back down to size. And right click OK. That gets me out of the drawing tool. So I also have this thing over here on the right hand side called the navigation bar. The navigation bar gives me access to additional tools that I may need, including the look at tool, the orbit tool. I also have my view cube here, so I can click and drag on this and rotate along the X, Y, and Z axes. So if you ever hear me say go home, I'll say go home, and that'll put the drawing in isometric axis. So I can say click on the front of the home cube, that'll bring it to the front view. Now on your mouse you have a left mouse button which is used to select icons, menus, and graphics. So if I left click 2-point rectangle, that selects that. If I want to end this process, I can right click. Right clicking brings up submenus, so I can select OK, and if you notice the rectangle tool is no longer selected. I also have this middle mouse wheel which will allow me to zoom in and out, and if I hold it down and then move my mouse in a circular pattern, I can pan left, pan right, up, down, whichever direction I want to move. So a couple of those features there. We also have geometric constraints here from the constrain panel. So say for example if I'm drawing a line and the line isn't exactly parallel here, so I've made a line along the x-axis, but it's not parallel with either the top horizontal or the bottom horizontal axis. I can choose something from my constrain panel here, so I'll select the horizontal constraint here, and what that will do will make the line horizontal. And you can see it snap, and then I see the horizontal constraint being exemplified right here. Alright, we also have some additional constraints here. We have perpendicular constraint, we have the coincident constraint, collinear constraint, concentric constraint, fix, parallel, perpendicular, horizontal, vertical, tangent constraint. So if you want to make a line that's tangent on a circle, we can do that. Let me go ahead and delete this. Let me right click. Oops, let me delete that. Right click, delete, and let me finish the sketch. Let me go home, and then what I'll do is I'll extrude this out, direction 2, and because I made that 2 inches, I want to make a 2-inch cube, 2, and let me go home again. Then we also have these dynamic viewing buttons over here in the right hand panel. So I can click on the free orbit tool. That'll bring up this orbit tool, and I can click on it and drag around the XY axis. So if I need to look at a part from all points of view, I can do that. To get out of the process, I right click, OK, or I can hit escape, and then I can go home. That'll put it back in isometric view. If say I want to look at something, I can look at the look at tool, and then I can look at that side. I can also accomplish the same thing by clicking on my home cube. Like if I go home, I can click the right side of my home cube. I'm looking at the right side. If I go home again, I can click on the top. I can click on the front, right side of my object. Let me go home again. So that will be what the home button is for. So that's a very brief introduction of what Inventor is. And if you ever make a mistake, one of the things you want to go to and use, and this is your best friend, is this thing right here, the browser. The browser keeps track of everything that you do. So say for example if I want to add a new sketch, I can add a new sketch, click the front of my home cube, click the circle tool, let's make that 1 inch in diameter, and then let me dimension this. So let me click the center point, click the right vertical axis, push up, make that 1 inch, click the center point, click the top horizontal axis, drag, dimension, center point, click the top horizontal axis, drag to my right, make that 1 inch. That circle is now centered, finish sketch. I can click extrude, and I can extrude that out. Maybe I'm going to extrude that out 1/2 inch. And now I have an additional feature. So I've made kind of something similar to a little nubbin. So clicking here in the browser, I can see what I've done so far. So that is using Inventor, and we will get more into depth into using Inventor over the next several days. Thank you so much.